Um, I think um, I I lost my mom in the year 2008,
Wow.
and I'm the only son, and that actually broke my heart. And the
Wow.
struggle in the university, and so just one day,
Mm.
um, I was in the class and I did an head count. When you are in the class in your
Mm-hmm.
lecture hall, and you did an head count, and you in my class alone, we were about I think we were 213 students.
Wow.
So, and I said I was in 400 level then, and I said to myself, okay, this department alone, this level alone, 400
Yeah.
level, we have other levels, we have other departments. All of us from Lautech alone, if we graduate, where
Where?
do I get the job? So
Where?
I just felt like that very day, I made a decision that I'm not going to seek a white collar job in my life, and I'm going to make sure that I actually wanted to study architecture. That's
Wow.
another story for another time anyway. But I did not, and for once, regretted studying agric engineering at the end of the day, because
Mm.
as far as I know, for everything that you can make in life, I've made it through this journey of my
Wow.
entrepreneurship. And
Wow.
it's so fantastic. Sometimes you have your fingers burnt,
Of
but
course.
definitely you need to start all over again and do it
Yeah.
better and get the result and stuff. So immediately I graduated, I had the opportunity to serve in Lagos. I
Mm-hmm.
served with Soft Alliance. It's an international company. They are into network infrastructure. In fact, then I was making a lot of money from the service here, because they were
Okay.
doing the fiber optics in Lagos, and we were
Oh
moving
yeah.
around,
Yeah.
making a lot of money. But fortunately for me, because I was a little bit vocal, so I was so close to the MD CEO of the company. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when we don't have job, he calls me, Copper, yeah, come here, let's talk. We started
Mm.
talking,
Mm.
he told me one day, he said, I want to return you. I like your spirit, but you have always said that you don't want to work here. Why? I said, I just want to be a farmer. I want to go back to my village. I grew up in Lagos. I want to go
Yeah.
back to my village. That my father has about 70 acres of land in Nede. He said, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do farming? Let us give you a job here. I said, no, I just want to go back home. So, to cut the story short, I think by my ninth month, I was already getting tired of waking up by 6 a.m. in the morning. I live in Agitepen Cinema, the estate there, then going to Ikeja. As short as that distance is, I was already getting
You
tired.
were tired.
Uh, yeah, I was already getting tired of that lifestyle. They're coming back in the middle of the night sometimes when you go for fiber optic fixing and stuff like that. So I told him, um, his name is Tunde Badijo. He's a very popular person in
Yeah.
Lagos. So I told him, Chief, I want to go home. So he now said, what do you want? What's the prospect? I said, I want to start farming fruits and vegetables through irrigation. So to cut the story short, the man said, okay, let me encourage you. As at 2011, he gave me a sum of 100,000 naira, my
Wow.
savings with my savings, and when we go out to the field, when we go on feed, some money that we see,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was able to gather about, I think, about 140 something thousand naira. So I
Wow.
came home. So I started the journey. I started farming fruit and vegetables, majorly tomatoes and pepper, bell pepper, tomato, and atarodo. That is habanero. So
Mm-hmm.
gradually I started farming Amatan. At the point there is a flood in 2012, very massive flood that
Wow.
flooded the whole of Kogi State and Niger State. That
Mm-hmm.
thing eventually affected us because we have a dam in Ede Osho State here. The whole thing
Wow.
went off. So, but before then, I had already started pushing um, my products to
Mm.
Lagos, my 12, my 2. So I would, in fact, sometimes I don't even need to travel to Lagos. I would just give it to the vehicle,
Mm.
loads of bags of tomatoes and pepper. They will just sell it
Yeah.
and return the money to me and stuff like that. So when that incident came, the flooding
Mm.
just took away everything. I said, okay,
Wow.
why do I start again?
Wow.
So I said, okay, let me try the little savings I have. and I was already even planning to get married then. That was
Yeah.
2020, 2012.
Right.
So the little I have, I said, okay, let me start with 200 birds. It was so easy to rear birds then. So
Mm.
I started with 200 birds, and gradually, where we had today. That's the story for the poultry too. Is another story that sometimes you have mortality. You come to the farm, you meet a lot of birds dying. There's nobody to help you. There's nobody to
Mm.
give you that support frame, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stuff that has happened in that um, sector as well. But today,
Mm-hmm.
we're thankful to God. We're still moving, and also because I said I don't want to work for somebody. Somebody might be
Yeah.
asking, why are you a lecturer? Why are you doing what you are doing? Why are you lecturing today? So let me just tell you a short story about how I got the job. I did not
Yeah.
apply. I have never sent an application to anybody in my life.
Wow.
At the point in time, yeah, the Federal Polytechnic, they were trying to do accreditation for agri engineering in Nede. So they already failed accreditation when the NAPTEP people came. They already failed. When they failed, then the second time they came around, one of my sister who was close to the rector, the former rector, because they needed to put some structures in place, so they
Mm-hmm.
needed a consultant to help them.
Right.
So I was in that picture to build a small poultry for them and also advise them to put some machines in place because
Mm.
they weren't do they did not do recruitment for they just wanted to hire a lot of people outside so that they can do the accreditation.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I was doing the job, I collected a contract, a small contract from the
Mm-hmm.
Polytechnic. I was
Yeah.
doing the job, then I was guiding them. So the rector said, "Young man, are you not from Media?" I said, "Yes, I'm an indigent. You, why don't you join us? Join the
Mm.
accreditation team." And to God be the glory, that same year we got the accreditation, and that was how I got the job. I got it on the platter of gold because I've built myself to that level
Mm-hmm.
whereby somebody don't even require your CV to give you a job. So
Mm. Your gift is already making room for you.
yeah, yes, exactly. So that's how I found myself as a lecturer
Um,
at the Federal Police. And because the job did not affect my entrepreneurial journey,
yeah.
it's a lecturing job. I go to
Yeah.
class whenever I want to. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why I kept that job. And it's also pensionable. So that's the
Yeah.
reason why I took it off.
A smart man. Wow,
So
like I've been writing since you started speaking. There's a lot to unpack here, really. But first of all, before we go deeper into all the stuff we have to discuss today, I just want to thank you. We've never met prior to this. This is our first time seeing face to face. I
yeah,
want to thank you for
yeah.
agreeing to do this. This meeting is also being recorded, so it's going to go up on YouTube. So it's going to be there forever. There are people that would need to refer to this in the future. So the fact that you're doing this is going to encourage someone from somewhere, sometime in the future that is not even on this call. So I just want to thank you for indulging us. We really appreciate. So you were mentioning how you guys were 213 in a class, and you looked around and you were like, where do I go from here? If everybody here wants to apply for a job, where do we start from? What employer wants to employ us? And that has just been inspiring for me. I hope every other person on this call is has heard you in total what you've been trying to say. You mentioned how the flooding in 2012 as well affected your business and how you have to start afresh again. I was going to ask you a follow-up question on what has been your highest high and your lowest low since you started this entrepreneurship journey, especially in agriculture and farming, right? I've heard other farmers give other kinds of stories on their journey, but you making reference to 2012 seems like a significant year for you. So do you want to give us a brief overview of what has been your highest high? You when you there's kind of money that will hit your account, you were like, oh, I made the right decision. And then your lowest low, that point where you were like, I'm tired, let me pack this up and keep it moving.
Okay, thank you. I think that
12.
2012
Right.
wasn't my lowest
Okay.
because
Wow.
the flood came, and when the flood came, the whole farmland was flooded, and
Mm-hmm.
but I still have some savings. I still have few pennies to save, and that was how I could actually start this poultry journey, you know.
Okay.
So, but when I got it wrong totally, when I was at the point of depression, was in 2016. Actually I took I took I think I took 3,000 bots,
Okay.
3,000 layers, and I also took about 1,000 broilers the same day. So the mistake I made was to put both bots in the same place together at the commercial level. So I think 2 weeks after, I started having
Mhm.
mortality, the bots started dying, and funny enough, I took a loan
Wow.
from, yeah, I took a loan to rear those birds, the 3,000, about 4,000, but 3,000 layers, 1,000 broilers. I took a loan. Not, it's like a cooperative. Yeah,
Mm.
it was a cooperative. In fact, the funniest thing is this: the loan from the cooperative was actually, the person that did my that was my guarantor happens
Yeah.
to be my stepmother,
Wow.
because I lost my mom by 28. My dad remarried. The young woman was trying to also help and infuse herself into the family. So she was
Mhm.
trying to do everything to impress.
Ah,
At the end of the day, I don't know if you get that story,
I
when you
get it
have
totally.
somebody who is not even your mother to go that extra mile to you, and at the end of the day, you were being
You lose
dragged
the
to
money.
come and
Wow.
repay. And you know,
Mm-mm.
3,000 birds, and I think by the time I could salvage the situation, I was left with just, I think five. I can't forget. I think 570 birds were left.
Wow.
Yes, 570 birds. I lost about 70%. So I moved on. That was the lowest. You have a situation whereby um, debtor will come to your house in the morning, and they will come and
Mm.
knock on your door, so that
Mm.
you are owing me money for maize, you are owing me money for
Mm.
soya. And of course, you still need to feed those birds as well. You know.
Mm.
So, but I was able to use that 500 birds to navigate my way out of that mess. Sincerely.
Wow.
In
You didn't have
fact,
to take another loan to offset the
no,
loan.
no, 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 no. I did not. I did not. The 500 birds that were remaining, 570 birds that were remaining, those birds did fantastically well for me. In fact, they repaid the loan over time, though
Wow.
it was a long time. They repaid the loan over time, and I was able to restock and start all over again with just
Mm.
2,000. So those
Mm.
2,000 in
Mm.
2013, I can say that that was when I made, I mean, sorry, in 2017, not 20, because that happened in 2016. In
Okay.
2017, yes, that was when the golden old days of poultry. 2017 was fantastic. 2018 was also fantastic. 2016, 2017, 2017 in the poultry was so fantastic. You know, when you are selling eggs and people were in fact, people will queue on my farm, and people will queue at my home, that okay,
Mm.
please, we just want to buy egg, because it was so
Mm.
scarce. So we were making a lot of money, and that was
Mm.
the height of it. Like I used to tell people, agriculture is not for the faint hearted.
Mm.
You just need to keep moving. I'm doing something presently, because I've done a lot of layers, I've done a lot of broilers. So just last year, I invested about 20 million naira on breeder farming.
Wow.
Yes, on breeder farming. So we started producing DOC, we started doing artificial insemination, we started selling broiler DO chicks that we called Ottab premium chicks. Is in the market. A lot of people have bought it, and they can see that it's a fantastic bird. But
Mm.
I can tell you that this year, nobody, no company, no farm that has invested in broiler and breeder can say they actually made profit this year. None
Wow.
of them can say that they break even, because of the government change in policy, majorly the unavailability of maize, the high price of maize, the high input cost, and the
Mm.
fluctuating price of the DOC. So, but that does not mean that we are not going to do it again. We are
Mm.
still going to do it. By next year, we're still going to take another DOC. We're still going to start rearing. And, but what we are trying to do presently is that we don't want to put our heads in one basket. The breeder thing consumed a lot from the company this year. So we said, okay, let us do another 1,000 breeders next year. We can also do about 3,000 or 5,000 layers. So the layers will be like a buffer for when we are having
Mm.
issues with the breeder. So that is
Mm.
you just need to be strategic.
Mm.
You cannot say particularly when you will hit the jackpot in
True.
agriculture.
True.
Yeah, it's not something that you can just wake up and
And
start
say this is
trading.
it.
You can, yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot just trading numbers and start trading numbers that okay. And that's the reason why sometimes when I see a lot of people um trading okay, if you invest 5 million naira, we give you 25%.
In
I keep
6 months.
laughing. In 6 months. Some will even tell you in 5 months we will give you 25%. I keep laughing because it doesn't work like that.
My
There is a
money has
lot
gone like that. So I've put money
of
inside it and it has disappeared. Don't you know?
there's a lot of factors that you cannot. For instance, we are buying maize. As a matter of fact, by now, this should have been the peak at which there's going to, peak harvest time for maize. By now, maize should have been in the market and it should be surplus. By now, there shouldn't be scarcity of maize. By now, maize should be selling for less. But as of
Mm.
today, as of this morning, I can tell you a kg, a ton of maize is 420,000 naira.
400 and
20,000 naira.
what?
A ton of maize. The least you can get it is 390 or 400,000. So same as soya, and these are the basic major components for poultry production. So nobody knows that we are going to get to this point this year. By
Mm.
the time I started last year, by the time I took in my stock last year, maize was just 270. Today
Wow.
is 420.
Wow. Wow. In
So that's
fact,
it.
I think you've led us to a very good point because one of the reasons I reached out to you on Twitter or X was because I saw your post about how you were complaining about the prices of inputs, and you mentioned the soya like you have, you mentioned maize, and then you were giving us a warning that if things should go as they are going, we're going to experience a food crisis next year. And when I saw that tweet, a friend retweeted it to my timeline, and when I saw it, I was like, I can relate. I'm not a farmer, but I can relate from my everyday buying. I can tell that something is going on in the farms that is affecting us in our day-to-day lives because every other day you go to buy something, the price has increased, right? And it's coming from the farms. How did we get here? I'm trying to understand, like someone that is not into farming, as a normal girl that doesn't know the in and out of farming, how did we get here?
See, the truth must be told, and the truth is this: we are not doing enough in the agricultural sector as
Mm.
individuals, as governments. So when I say government, it starts from the local government level to the state and to the federal government. All over the world, agriculture is the most subsidized sector all over the world. Unfortunately, we don't have serious minded leadership in this country that sees agriculture as the only means to industrialization and to reduce unemployment in any nation.
Mm.
Agriculture should have been the major driving um, economic driving force
Mm.
for our challenges as far as um, um, foreign what is it? What do you call it? This dollar, whatever that you call it, is
Foreign
concerned.
exchange.
Foreign exchange is concerned, but
Mm.
unfortunately, that sector has been totally neglected. When you look at the budget of every nation, in fact, the United Nations recommendation, no state, Nigeria doesn't even align with the recommendation. Not even any state aligns with the recommendation. See, the truth of the matter is this: even as individuals, How many people can do what we are doing? I have a near life crisis this same year with my breeder farm. In fact, if you look at my timeline, I needed to come and cry on Twitter, and a lot of people were just sending help and raising funds for me because it was a near death situation. Imagine you have invested close to 20 million naira and you can't even move forward at a time when you are expecting your bird to start laying and start giving you income. It was so crazy. And see, farmers need support. We can't shy away from it. Not everybody can be where we are today. In fact, the only reason why new minds are not coming into the sector is because there is no support.
Mm.
Unfortunately, there is a lot of policy deformation, policy cancellation, a lot of stuff that affect us.
Mm.
For several years, the border were closed. Now the border is open.
It's
For
opened.
several, yeah. So when you look at all of these things, they are affecting us. They are affecting the agricultural sector. A kilo of processed, I mean, of a live bird, a broiler, of a live broiler. If you rear broiler on your farm and you want to sell a kilo of it to an off-taker or a processor, for as at this morning, a kilo of live broiler, I mean live weight of a bird goes for as high as 1,650 naira. That
Mm.
means 2 kg, which is the standard that should leave your farm, should be around 2,000, 3,000 plus, 3,002 or 3,300 naira.
Wow.
Now, imagine when a processor. So because my wife processes. I mean, my wife does processing and sells processed chicken. So just recently, I was just asking her, how much do you sell a kilo of chicken? I think she said, I think she said 4,000 naira or thereabout for a kilo of chicken. Is that crazy?
It's crazy.
It's that crazy. And like I was saying, there's no maize in the market. And this should be the peak because this should be the time that we are harvesting the dry season maize. This should be the peak. This should be the time that we have the cheapest maize
What's
in the
going on with
year.
maize? I've heard you say that over and over again. What's the problem with the output on
Okay,
maize? What's the challenge?
now the problem is this: one, we have the maize belt, which is the north central and the northwest, the Zaria side, the Benue. Just recently there's a lot of killing, maiming, and that was going in Benue in the plateau.
Mhm.
You know, and these are
Yeah.
our major maize beds in
Mm.
Nigeria. Also, the high costs of production. My sister, let me just tell you, for you to do 1 acre, 1 hectare of land now, you need about 450,000 naira to do 1 hectare of land.
Mm.
When you consider 15,000 naira, that's the minimum you can plow 1 acre.
Mm.
In my own area, I don't know for other areas. When you
Mm.
consider the cost of all these inputs,
Mm.
your fertilizers, your maize, even the maize seedlings, then also we have very, very poor yield. In the United States, they are doing about 4.5 to 5 metric tons per hectare. In Nigeria, we're still doing about 1.2 to maximum. When you do well, you are doing
Wow.
2 tons.
Wow.
Even in South Africa, they are doing 4 tons. In America, they are doing about 6 tons per hectare. So our yield has also been dragging us back. So we are not producing enough. So, and when you also look at the climate change,
Mm.
our meteorological centers are not doing their job. They cannot even predict well for farmers when it's going to rain, when it's going to stop raining, and a whole lot of things like that. So another thing is poor mechanization. Poor mechanization. Farmers cannot afford to buy tractors. I can tell you in my own town, in my own local government, that probably as big as the local government is, I don't think we have one functioning tractor that is working in it. I can tell you.
Wow.
So
Wow.
when you take all of these things together, and those that wanted to invest in mechanization too, they will tell you that the high cost of parts, replacement parts for machines, has made them abandon their tractors under their shed, under the farm shed. Nobody's willing to invest. You cannot even go to the bank as a farmer. But once they hear anything agric, they will run away from you. They won't even give you the loan because they felt that sector is highly volatile.
High risk.
Yeah, very, very risky. Very, very uncertain terrain. So those are the challenges, and that is the reason why. And let me tell you, maize is the most important seed in the world. In the world, maize is the most important. The beer that people take today is made of maize. And in fact, majorly, most of, in fact, the most demanded commodity in the world is maize. So a nation that cannot produce enough maize cannot be industrialized. Because
Wow.
even most of these pharmaceutical stuffs, a lot of
Mm.
stuff that are related to pharmaceutical ingredients are made from maize.
Mm.
The baseline, what do you call it, for most of these drugs are made from starch that are made from maize.
Mm.
So there's a lot of demand. Animals are demanding, humans are demanding. When you even look at it, the poor of the poorest, they depend on maize. They drink pap in the morning, in the afternoon, in the night.
True.
Because it seems to be like this, the most staple food for every
Right.
family. Not so many people can afford to take rice. As expensive
Mm.
as rice is and maize is, they will still want to go for the maize because they can easily take 100 naira akara and take 50 naira pap, and they are
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So, except we mechanize, subsidize, improve our seedling, improve our output, and reduce the cost of input. As bad as it is, we don't have an agrochemical company in Nigeria. Most of the agrochemicals that we use are being imported from China. Is that bad?
Wow.
Is that bad? Is that bad?
Wow. This in fact, I'm so glad that we have an expert and a consultant on this call to run us through all of this, because for common people like myself and maybe a few people on this call, it's a common question we've been asking ourselves: what is really the problem? Why can't agriculture get better in this part of the world? We have the land, we have the people, but now you're mentioning so many problems that no one would have thought of that. Like you're saying now, you brought up an issue on regarding insecurity in the north. And these are the people that are giving us the maize. They are feeding into the west, they are feeding into the south. But right now, the north is crying, so they can't farm, right? They're running away from their farmlands. You see, everything is interconnected. And this is the reason why Nigeria is struggling, because we can't say, okay, let's leave the north. We want to farm maize in the south or in the west because we don't have the land resources for it. So it's really, it bothers me. So, what do you think the solution to these problems are? You mentioned something about support, and I think from all of the things you've mentioned, that seems like the easiest thing to want to solve. How can we support farmers? I'm speaking now as regards, let's even leave the local to federal government aside. How can day-to-day people like us say, okay, this sector is suffering, where can we put our hands to say let's help? Right. You mentioned something about loans from the banks. Why banks are refusing to give loans to farmers because they are high risk and volatile. But there are people like us that see opportunities, like the ones scamming farmers are giving us: invest and in 6 months you get 50% bonus. We've tried that and it did not work. So what can we do as normal everyday people to support farmers?
Okay. I have to be sincere with you, and the sincerity here is that there's no way we can do agriculture without funding.
Mm,
Funding is the major thing.
yes.
Agriculture requires funding, and I think there are upcoming tech companies. I don't know
Mm.
if I'm permitted to mention few. I don't
Please,
know.
please, sure do.
Okay. Like a tech, agro tech company that's called Vestac. You know what
Okay.
they do is, yeah, what they do is when you have stock or you want to stock, you talk to them, you show the numbers, and they fund you, they fund the project. For instance, if you want to do 2,000 broilers, they will not give you the money directly. Where do you want to take the bots? Oh, you want to take the bot from CHI, they pay CHI. How many?
Um,
What is the quantity of feed that you want to use? Oh, okay. The quantity, the calculation is 2.5 million, 3 million naira. Where do you want to get the invoice? You give them the invoice. They give, they pay the company that will supply you the feed. They pay the company that will supply you the
directly.
drugs. Yeah, directly.
Mm,
And they take all the inputs to your farm. At the end of the cycle, you know that you will sell. They already have an off taker for you, or you bring your off taker, so the off taker pays them back the fund, then you take your profit. And there's a marginal, I mean, there's a an agreement, probably I think
mm,
probably 9% or 10%, 8%, okay. 8%, companies like that
mm.
needs to be recognized and needs to be appreciated. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I've not done business with them. I don't, but I've met a lot of people. They have their iOS app. People
Okay.
can reach out to them. So I just need to share this so that they're doing a lot. Probably they don't have enough publicity, but I think they're doing a lot. So, but everything still boils down to um, funding. As even
Mm,
as individual, you just need to find a way to fund the project, to fund farming. That's just it. And that's the reason why when people ask me this question, I keep
mm.
telling them there's no way you can take away the input of the government from agriculture. I've read a
Absolutely.
lot about I've read a lot about what is being done to revolutionize agriculture in Singapore, in Israel, in Brazil. Brazil is doing a lot as far as soya and maize is concerned. China is the major exporter, is the number one exporter of maize. I mean of soya in the world, you know.
Mm,
And China still export soya to the United States, you know. But if you look at how much the Chinese government are subsidizing that sector, you will marvel.
mm,
It's in
mm.
billions of dollars. And unfortunately, I'm very sure you'd have heard about Bank of Agric.
Yes.
Today, let me tell you, if you go there, it will take you 2 years before they can even give you loan, because
Wow.
everything that they are doing there is manual. In fact, the branch here in Oshogo, they don't even have a computer.
Wow.
It's still the old banking system ways. So how do you expect farmers to have access to fund? There's no way around it. I don't advocate for farmers to have fund on their farms. I've always said, if you want to help farmers, put them in clusters, in cooperatives, let them come together. They can monitor each other, tie them to
Mm,
themselves as security.
mm,
It has worked well in Osho State. I'm part of the team that designed OBOPs,
mm,
and it worked fine. A lot of farmers made a lot of money. It worked fine. You don't need to give farmers money. For some of us, we don't even need the money, but just
mm,
give us the input. Give us what it is needed to farm. And
mm,
that's all. And
mm,
that's all. So,
mm.
back to the question that you have asked. For instance, as a young farmer, I okay, let me also tell you this.
Okay.
The breeder sector that I'm into, that I'm playing now, you
Okay.
also know that it is only CHI, the TGI group, CHI, that have the sole license to bring in Aboika as a breed into this country. So if you want to
Wow.
buy original parent stock in Nigeria to start a breeder farm, you have to go through CHI. In fact, they have
Mm,
the sole license to bring in Aboika and Ross. So right now, a day old for a breeder, for a breeder day old chicks is 4,650 naira today. So if you want to do 1,000 bots, you need 4.6 million naira to take the dayhood. And the dayhood that we are talking about, there is no guarantee that all of it cannot die between the dayhood and the rearing period.
Mm.
So it is what they sell to you that you take. So the government needs to open up the sector, bring in a
Yeah.
lot of big players, a lot of multinational. As we speak in Nigeria, we don't have a tractor assembly or manufacturing company in Nigeria. We don't.
Mm.
Is that bad? The ones that we said we have in Kaduna, the ones that we said we have Mahindra. I mean, sorry, this Mitsubishi. They are
Yes.
assembling one in Lagos. I've been there. That's not an assemblage, a tractor assembly. No, I've been there. I've seen what is obtainable in Kenya, what they do in Kenya, what
Mm.
Messi Ferguson, what they're doing in Kenya. In fact, it's more or less that they're manufacturing from
Mm.
Kenya. So why can't we have similar thing in Nigeria? Is that bad? We are just we are just very unfortunate that we don't have for instance our Minister of Agriculture is a politician. He
Mm.
doesn't understand what it means to be an agric minister.
Wow.
The only time we enjoyed an agricultural minister is during the reign of Adu, who is a real farmer. And that was when in fact, he designed this CBN anchor borrower scheme. It was
Mm.
during Audu Ogbe that we have this nicer Nigeria, what do you call it? Risk-based whatever is an arm of the CBN. And they have really helped a lot of farmers too. So it was during those periods that we have all these innovations. That is when you have a real farmer as
Mm.
an agricultural minister. So we need to do more as a nation. We need to do more as an individual. It's another thing to encourage young people, young minds
Yeah.
to come and join the trade. I used to tell them it's another thing to make them see the reason why they need to come around and join that trade. Because at the end of the day, if you invite a young man that has his own life savings, about 2 million naira, 5 million naira, and you ask him to come and drop it into agriculture, and the
And it
young man
goes
is
to.
coming and
Mm.
and he goes south, the
Mm.
man will swear for you.
There are people that have committed suicide on stuff like this. Truly.
God bless you. So
Truly,
that's
truly.
how it is.
The, in fact, what do you think is step one? Because you've mentioned a lot of things that I'm very intrigued about, and I'm going to be reaching out to you so that let's see how we can reach out to major players in this sector, make recommendations to them, write open letters to them as well. These are stuff that people do, right, to force the hand of governments. You can write an open letter to local government, state governments, and say, this is our concern. What can you do about this? But aside that, you've also mentioned something about opening up the sector, right? So, what do you think is a step one? Where do we start from, in your opinion? Because you've mentioned a lot of things, but what do you think is step one?
Step one is funding.
Okay.
Rejuvenate Bank of Agric. Commercialize Bank of Agric. Let every farmer should be able to walk into a Bank of Agric just like you will walk into Zenith Bank, First Bank, or whatever and access loan. That's number
Mm.
one.
Mm.
Number two, encourage mechanization.
Okay.
Let us have a bank, a system for farmers where you can easily access machines to do the job, to make the job easy. That is when you make agriculture attractive to young graduates who are coming
Yeah.
out from the university.
Yes.
That is the only way you can do that. If not, a lot of people, you see, and unfortunately, the Japa syndrome is not even helping us.
True.
People study agric and they are working in the bank. People study
Mm.
agric and they are working in secondary school teaching. As an agriculturist, you should be encouraged to be on the farm. As an extensionist, as a farmer, as a consultant, as whatever you want to be,
Mm.
because the sector is so wide
It's
that you
so
can actually
wide.
create your own niche.
Right.
So make agriculture attractive to the youth. That's another thing. Like I said, funding, mechanization. Then
Mm.
the government need to bring in more investors. This
Were you, let's assume you are an international investor, would you invest in Nigeria? Because people say where there are problems means problems equal opportunity, right? But somehow Nigeria has flaunted that rule over and over again. Sometimes our problems do not equal opportunity. Our problems equal run away. Don't solve it because others have tried and it didn't work. So, let's assume you're an international investor. Would you assume Nigeria to be a worthy investment?
okay, good, very fantastic question, and I will answer that with very practical example. Let me tell you today, the major the major players in the agricultural sector today. When you're talking about the CHI of Nigeria, you're talking about Zatek, you're talking about Said Farms, you're talking about all these big players, even the input sellers, Jubaili.
Mm.
When you're talking about the Jubaili of Nigeria, do
Okay.
you also know that all of them are foreign companies
Mm.
and they are making their money? Either ways, like I just told you, a day old chick for breeder is 4,600. What's the cost of production? It cannot be more than 500 naira. But they are
Wow.
making us. Yes, they are making
Wow.
us. Either you like
Wow.
it or they are still selling broilers. So they can have the same problem that we are having as broiler producers, but they have other ways of making us. They sell vaccines. The
Mm.
Zoetis, the Zoetis of Nigeria, those are the biggest players in vaccine and drug. What do you call them? They are foreign investors. Okay, let me also tell you. I know you might have heard about this feed, New Hope, here and there, New Hope feed. They are
Yes.
Chinese. They are Chinese. They
Wow.
came to Nigeria, settled in Shagamu bypass, that Shagamu interchange around that place. Today, they are one of the major players. In fact, they came around just 5 years ago. Do you know why?
Mm.
The reason is this: they bring in a lot of fund from their foreign countries
Mm.
with zero interest rate, almost zero
Mm.
interest rates.
Mm.
Imagine somebody bringing $5 million into this economy. So they can come around, play with their money. Look at what
Mm.
this company in Kaduna is doing. Olam.
Ola.
Yeah, Olam is doing a lot and they are killing the poultry sector in Nigeria indirectly because Olam has a lot of fund and they could produce about 5 million DOC in a week. They are
Mm.
churning out about 5 million DOC. Either you like
Mm.
it or not, people are being forced to buy. For the small players like us, we cannot compete with them.
Of
We are
course.
struggling. So, see, and that is another thing is this. I don't know if you have recently traveled along Lagos Ibadan Expressway. You will see
Mm.
that there is a lot of companies that are springing up,
Mm.
and these companies are owned by foreigners. What I'm
Foreigners.
trying to say, in essence, is that the opportunity is there for both foreigners and the local investors. Sincerely speaking, the opportunities are there. The only problem that we have as local investors is funding issues. Those guys knows their way. They can always bring in most of the materials they will use before they get their stability for almost 2 years. That's
Mm.
what New Hope did. When they came into Nigeria, they did not even look into getting maize. I mean, getting the only thing they got from Nigeria is maize. They did not even look into getting other raw materials from Nigeria. So they import soya, they import their methylene, they import their lysine, they import a lot of things. So, and at a very cheaper rate.
Mm.
Then, so they were able to compete, and that's the reason why today New Hope is a major player. In fact, the likes of Top Feed are under them now.
Mm.
Yes, Top Feed has been in existence for more than 40 years. The like of Top Feeds are under them.
Mm.
They are far ahead of them today. The like of Hybrid, they are under them. They are far ahead of them today. And it's because they have enough funding and they could fend for themselves. They could get raw materials for themselves without depending on whatever happens in Nigeria. So the opportunity is there, the opportunity is vast, and the only challenge that we have is mechanization, funding, and sometimes, of course, as we are as a nation, mismanagement and stuff like that,
Of course.
theft and a lot of stuff when you invest a lot of money in but there are ways you can actually mitigate those things that I know. So, but the major thing is that in agricultural sector in Nigeria. In fact, if we say that we are not going to invest, we all die of hunger.
True.
That's just the truth.
True. Because we all can't grow our own food.
Well,
Someone has
everybody
to
has
grow it.
taken somebody has to grow it. Everybody has taken something in their mouth today.
True. I
So
we really underestimate the urgency with which we need to address this our agricultural issue because it's
yes,
too fundamental. If you're spending the bulk of your salary on food because food is too expensive, it's affecting your life
of course.
whether you are aware of it or not. So I noticed that there are a couple of farmers on this call, and then whoever has been listening to you so far since we started in the last 50 minutes know that you know your stuff, you know your onions. What advice would you give to young and upcoming farmers who are almost at the point of I want to give up, it's not worth it? What would you tell them? What was your advice to them?
Well, see, I have this never give up attitude. There's nothing that goes up that doesn't come down. We just need to keep pushing. We can never give up. If we give up, your next neighbor will suffer as a farmer. I used to give eggs to people on the way to my farm. It's one of the social responsibility that I do. I think during after Corona in the year 2021, I guess. So I have a long break. I took a long break from the farm. So after about 8 months, I returned to the farm. Um, there's this woman. The woman, I used to see her along the road. So sometimes when I harvest maize, I will give her. She's an old woman. I
Okay.
harvest cassava, I will just give her. I harvest me and yam, I will just and mama take egg. I divide. She doesn't lack egg. So by the time I was coming back to the farm after a very long period of time, after like 8 months, I asked after her that Mama Fulani Nko, they said she has died. I said, wow.
Wow. Wow.
And I asked questions that what happened to her, this and that, and stuff like that. And they said that even before she died, the mama was trying to reach out to me. That literally, let me just put it this way: she died of hunger.
Wow.
She died of hunger. You know, a lot of people around her were now saying, if not for the fact that you used to give her this, you used to give her this and that and stuff like that, that probably she might have died earlier. But that the little I give her actually sustained her to that time because her children actually abandoned her. The Fulani guys, she has two guys. They do this nomadic lifestyle. So in fact, one of them was in Kogi. So the man just died inside the house, just like that. So what I'm trying to say is that if we stop farming today, if we give up today, our next neighbor will suffer. That's just the truth. So as a young person, we need to keep pushing, and we also need to be attentive. I used to tell young minds that is coming to this sector, we need to be very attentive. You need to put your ears on the floor. As bad as it is, there are still opportunities within the sector.
True.
Grants, angel investors. You need to be up and running. You need to be versatile. You need to also embrace the power of the social media. Last year I participated in Faith. I don't know if you know Faith Foundation.
Mm.
They have some programs whereby they look out for investors for people. Of course, I've not benefited from it, but what I'm saying is that programs like this, opportunities like this, comes once in a lifetime, and you can actually key into it. They are more of an innovative um, um, programs that,
Okay.
as a young mind, you can actually key into. So there's a lot of opportunities that will come, definitely, but opportunity meets somebody that is prepared, somebody that
True.
is doing something, somebody that
Absolutely.
has something to show. And
Yeah.
that is the reason why we must not give up.
Well, thank you so much for that. Before we ask you some other questions, right, as a way to close this meeting, what's let's say there are farmers. You've mentioned that we must not give up, right? But there are farmers that are struggling in certain sectors. What advice or which areas do you think are thriving in the moment, in the midst of our economic challenges and all of that? What areas are thriving as at now, 2023, that you would encourage people to go more into? There are less hurdles in this sector of farming.
that's that's
Please
a,
give my
that's
people
a
expo, please. I beg you.
that's a very big, that's a very sensitive one. Okay, if you ask me, I've got my fingers burnt severally in the poultry sector. So if you ask me, I will still tell you that I will do poultry all over again. But of course, I think if you want me to advise as a consultant, and I
Yeah.
want to assume I'm not a poultry owner, I'm not a poultry farmer.
Okay.
You see, what I would advise is that, number one, rice farming. If you get it right, you will hit the jackpot easily. If you get it right, you will hit the
Mm.
jackpot easily, because rice is also becoming a. In fact, it's not even becoming; it's a staple food. So every home eats rice. In fact, because the reason why I know this is because for my school, when the present rector asked us, okay, what can we do to make some money from, since that you have this department, and I told them, let us plant rice. We planted rice, and to God be the glory, we made a lot of money. We processed it, we outsourced the processing, we bag it. This December, the polytechnic committee is eating their own rice.
Wow.
So rice is the number one crop that I would say go into. Of course, it's also a little bit cheaper compared to planting maize.
Mm.
Maize is a little, it's crazy. I'm only saying this as a practical person. It's what I do. It's my own personal opinion.
Yes.
If you ask any other person, in fact, funny enough, somebody just shared something to me on Twitter today and said rabbit farming. I said, okay. I said, Shoprite is looking for rabbits. I said, I've done rabbit, I've done rabbit before. When has
You've
it
done
become that rabbit
rabbits,
is
Mr.
now?
Salam.
Yes, yes. When has it become that rabbit is now like gold? When somebody is now hyping rabbit. I said rabbit. But everybody with his own. But generally, I think as far as Nigeria is concerned today, our immediate needs are just three in terms of crop. If I'm the agricultural minister, I will focus on just three crops. Number one, maize. Two, rice. Three, soya. I will not do more than that. If Nigeria can be self-sufficient in rice, maize, and soya, I'm telling you, we are good. Probably wheat because of the industrial use. Probably wheat because of the
Mm.
industrial use. Now, if we can be sustainable, if we
Mm.
can have enough of maize, enough of soya, enough of
Mm.
rice, I'm telling
Mm.
you, we have killed hunger in Nigeria. We have killed inflation in Nigeria because maize will serve human, maize will serve the livestock sector,
Mm.
maize will also serve industrialization. Rice, if rice is cheap, if you are selling a bag of rice for 15,000, in fact, at 15,000 or 20,000 naira, a whole lot of family will be happy. They can eat rice in the morning, in the afternoon, in the
In the
night,
afternoon, in the
and they will be
evening.
fine in the evening. and they will be fine.
Yes.
The other one is soya. If you can have enough soya in Nigeria, soya oil, the oil that you use in frying and every other thing, will be cheaper. The waste is what we use in the poultry industry and the livestock industry generally. It will be cheaper. That means the price of the chicken that you eat will be cheaper, and everybody will have access to it. Then I also talk about wheat for industrialization. This wheat that we're talking about is what is being used to make all this semo and all of these things
Mm.
that you eat. All of these things will come. So if I'm the minister, I will only focus. You see, one thing about this country is that we want to do everything.
True.
As
And we are
we
master
want
of
to be
none.
in every, we are master of none, jack of all trade. It's unfortunate. But let us just focus on all these 3 or 4 commodities. And in fact, by the time we start exporting soya,
Mm.
soya is the gold, is called the golden bean.
Mm.
In fact, it can bring all the required foreign exchange that we need as a nation.
Wow.
I'm telling you,
Wow.
the statistics are there.
Adele.
So
Wow.
that's just it.
Mr. Salam, every time you every time you open your mouth and speak, I'm in awe of your depth of understanding of this sector. And I feel like we're going to have you again on this because
I'm okay, I'm
as you're
fine.
opening your mouth, I'm just doing I'm I'm responding because you are giving us our problems very explicitly in a way that we understand it, and you are also providing solutions in a way that will work in practical ways. So you know your onions. What books and what podcasts? Who are the people that have influenced your understanding so far of the sector, especially Nigerians? Who are the people that you look up to and you're saying this is where I'm going to, so I'm following them tightly?
Okay, this question, you see, this question, a lot of people have asked this question from me, and I have to be sincere. I think the only person I look up to is my father. Uh,
Wow.
I've learned the hard way, and I
Mm,
think it's the only way to learn. It's the best way to learn. You see, what works for somebody that you are looking up to might not even work
mm,
for you, because
true.
we have different minds. So
Mm-hmm.
I've developed myself in such a way that I think a lot. Like I was just saying, and like I was just telling you, I was just sharing my in-depth, personal, in-depth thoughts with you that I've invested a lot of money this year on breeder. I did not break even. I'm even owing a lot presently. But that does not mean that I will stop my business. No,
True.
I want to take layers where I have left. Sometimes you need to do a retrospective of your life and look at business. You don't personalize it. Now, people will say, somebody that has done breeder, why are you now? It's just like you are the president and you finish presidency and you want to come and contest for governorship. You know, sometimes it looks crazy.
True.
But that governorship, I just need to go back to it so that I can have some
Mm,
stability. That layers selling of commercial eggs, I just need to go back to it presently now and look into it. So I inspire myself sincerely.
mm, mm.
I inspire myself, and that is the only way you can keep the flame burning in you.
True. True.
I read books. I do.
Okay.
I read books. But sometimes when I read those books, sometimes when I'm reading some books, I felt like, okay, can this work in this country? Can you, for instance, there are books that I've read that says sometimes you need to be totally frugal. You don't even need to give a lot, giving you certain percentage of your earning that you can give out. But as a family man, the way I was brought up, extended family person, sometimes it doesn't work for me. I give a lot and I also receive a lot. God has blessed me
True.
with that. When I give, I
True.
receive.
Mm.
I don't know if you are getting this. So,
Oh, I'm getting
most
this.
what I'm saying is that I am self inspired. I have people I look up to that I want to be like. There are people like RTO Farms who I learned a lot from. I also worked at I am the former president's farm. I did um my IT there in Niger, Mezube Farm, owned by Abdusalam Abubakar. You know, there's an Israeli that I met there, Tal Cohen. It also inspired me. These are people that actually shaped my business acumen, shaped my
Mm,
mind as far as business is concerned. But
mm,
that does not really means that I don't have a mind of myself. In business,
mm,
you need to have a mind of yourself, and you need to be focused, and you need to be diligent, and you need to be strong. You need to have a heart of a lion for you to survive in business in Nigeria. Because as a
mm.
business owner in Nigeria, you provide for yourself, you provide light, you provide water, you provide fuel, you provide everything for yourself.
Everything.
Yes. And it doesn't work like that in other realms.
It's easier. There's a level of struggling you go through in Nigeria. When you go somewhere else, you are
Exactly.
coasting.
Exactly. You are just coasting. You're okay. I have a friend who went to Canada as a farmer, and he told me he's a very devoted Muslim before he left. I asked him just last week, I said, did you go for Jumat? He said, my brother, where I stay to where I will pray for Jumat is about 3 hours drive. And I
Yeah.
said, wow, what has changed? The guy said, my brother, you don't need prayer here.
Hey.
Yeah, that's what he told. That's what he told me. He told me he's a devoted Muslim before he left Nigeria. He's still a devoted Muslim, but he said we pray a lot in Nigeria, but we don't need that. You don't need prayer in Canada.
Ah.
Yes, he's
Oh.
a farm supervisor in Canada.
Oh, wow. We want to give the floor open to say two questions and maybe two
Okay,
comments. IBM
okay.
Farm has been raising his hand since you started
Yeah,
talking. I'm
yeah.
sure a lot of the things you were saying were resonating with him, so he just wanted to talk. But one last question before I give you room to answer people's
Okay.
questions. Do you think the border reopening is a good thing for farmers, or is
I
it a
don't.
bad thing?
I don't. I
It's
don't.
not a good
I
thing, right?
totally, I totally disagree. Anyway, I have my. There's a lot of back and forth about this.
Yes.
The border reopening is not going to help us.
Mm.
It's not at all.
Why?
It's
Why do you
not.
think
In
so?
fact, it's going to get things worse. You see, a nation that cannot produce what it should consume by herself is not a nation. You see, when you open border, what that means is that you are expecting an influx of both good and bad products.
Mm.
For instance, let me just, I will still go back to the poultry. For you to produce one chicken, to raise one chicken to 2 kg presently, you will need
Mm.
about 2,800 to 3,000 naira to produce. So by the time you are selling
Yeah.
at the rate of probably 1,650 or 1,700 per kg, by the time you'll be selling your bird to the off taker, you'll be selling at the rate of probably 3,300, and you have used 3,000 naira to produce it. So probably you are making a margin of 300 naira per bird. Now, don't forget that you might have lost some birds because you cannot stock 1,000 and sell 1,000. It's not possible. So the margin will still reduce to about 280. So that means, and to raise 1,000 birds, you are looking at 3 million naira. At the end of the day, you are making about 250 naira on 3 million naira. By the time your product gets to the market and the processors process and does a lot of things and wants to sell to the market, he or she is selling a bag of processed chicken, probably at the rate of 4,500, 5,000 naira. And I have the money to go to Cotonou to go and bring in this chicken in Cotonou and bring it into Nigeria at the rate of 3,000 naira, the landing cost. So definitely I can sell for 3,500 or 4,000. And the made in Nigeria chicken is 4,500 or 4,800. Which one will you buy? You'll buy the lesser one.
Okay.
That is
Yes.
normal common sense.
Of
You'll buy
course.
the lesser one. Now you are killing the processors. A lot of people have invested in slaughter machines, slaughter equipment. At the end of the day, they will not be able to survive in that ecosystem. Likewise, the issue of rice. Somebody bringing in rice. Let me even tell you, in Shaki today, if you get to Shaki today, you will still buy a bag of rice. You will still see a bag of rice at the rate of probably 30, 38, 40,000 naira. The only concern, the only major issue is that there's no way you can ferry it to your destination. The Nigerian custom will keep disturbing you. But if you can find a way to bring it, you can settle them to bring it. So now, if the landing cost of a rice from Cotonou is 40,000 naira, and by
Yeah.
the time you're selling it, it's 58,000 naira. My wife just bought a bag at 56 or 58,000 naira recently. Look at the margin.
Yeah.
How do you expect the local farmers to compete in that ecosystem? So these are practical examples, and there's no check and balance when you open your border. A lot of people bring in. There's an influx of both good produce and bad produce. That's my reservation about it.
I think those are valid points actually, because if closing the border is going to force us to concentrate our resources on building our own, I think that's a good way to go. That's a good starting point. Thank you so much, Mr. Salam. I think we'll take some contributions or questions from one or two people so that we can close this meeting by 6:30 at the most. IBM fans, I think your hands have been up for the most part. So please go ahead, make your contributions. IBM Farms, do you want to unmute your mic? Okay, okay. So any other person wants to contribute to this conversation or have any question for Mr. Salam? This is your chance, though. Nobody should ask me question in the DMs you. Okay. IBM Farms is still raising his hand. Do you want to unmute your mic? Okay, I think you may be having difficulty with that. If you have any questions, please send them to me. If I can't answer them, which of course I won't be able to answer them, I'll be able to forward them to Mr. Salam if he gives me any
Yeah,
response.
yeah, I will answer the questions. If you
Yes,
can forward the
yes.
questions to me, I can
Of course,
definitely
please
be
just send
justice to
them
it.
to me. I will transfer them to Mr. Salam, and you'll be able to answer. So, what's the plan for the rest of the year, Mr. Salam? Are you going to be resting, or you're back at work?
Farmers don't rest because
Hey,
that go to serve no rest. Have you
Abi
seen that go to resting?
o, Dangote lórí méjì o.
Farmers don't rest. As a matter of
Mm.
fact, we still. I have a lot to do on the farm tomorrow. I want to plant some habaneros. I want to transplant some habaneros because by February next year, I can tell you a bag of um your bell pepper or habanero pepper will rise to about 40,000 naira. I can tell you, I can bet it. Just mark it today.
God, please.
So I'm transplanting about 3,000 seedlings tomorrow. Um, that is what I will be doing tomorrow and the after tomorrow, and probably it could even extend to Monday. If it extend, we will still be on the farm. I have my IT students that are working with me, so we don't rest. That's just the truth. We don't rest.
Wow.
Hello,
Oh,
hello.
IBM,
IBM.
yeah, please
So,
go ahead.
Oga, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good
How are
evening,
you?
sir. Sorry, how is business?
Oh,
How is
good evening.
everything?
It's evening.
It's good seeing your face today. I think it's the second time I'm seeing your face.
thank you.
Compliment of the season. How is business?
Same here.
I've been on the space now for like about 30 minutes, and you've said a lot when it comes to agriculture, farming, and agriculture itself, general. Which and the aspects you are talking about, you are really making a valid point. Um, so farmers, like I said, like I used to say, I started this farming, let me say agriculture within 2014 after I left my school in Kuala Poly. And from 2014, I started doing maize and cassava farming in Ogun State, not quite far from Soilless Farmer, away Kurwasimi bus stop. That's where I started from. So on the long run, you know, there's always ups and downs when it comes to business. So There was a time I'll use like almost like 100K to invest on the farmland. At the end of the day, I'll be seeing token like 10,000. There was some point I was like, I just have to abandon it. So, but on the long run, I started venturing into agro commodity in 2015. I think next year will be my 10th year in this business now when it comes to agriculture, and I'll be celebrating that. So, what I would just say is, when it comes to agriculture, our farmers, like you said, the major problem we are having is funding. Funding. Then secondly, our farmers, we know inputs are the high sides. For farmers going in down into their farmland, it takes them, most of them has bike, and I know what it costs for them to fuel that bike down to their farmland.
Wow.
So all these things. Hello, are you there?
Yeah, we are with you.
Yeah. So all these things, I think these are the major problem we are having in agriculture. Then farm inputs are not coming from the government. A lot of kidnap, insecurity are also there. Then secondly, majorly why we are not seeing much of agro commodity, like the likes of maize, soya bean, and the likes of rice you mentioned. Those three things are the key major things we really need in Nigeria now. And if you're having that thing regularly, I believe the nation will be a better one when it comes to agriculture. So most of these are our farmers. Most of these are they don't have the fund, and there's nowhere for them to access the fund. So I think that's a major problem. A lot of major problem. Insecurity takes secondly. You were discussing on maize. Maize at the stand now. I've stopped work for the past 3 weeks now because I've been working now since January and until December. That my wife, because me and my wife are always on field. I don't know whether you see my post on LinkedIn or Twitter. Me and my wife is always on field. 2-4. You can check my LinkedIn page, Animal Sound with Ibrahim. You can check my LinkedIn page. So
Yeah, I used to follow you.
we put in a lot of work just to make sure we 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 we, uh, we are able to make our suppliers smile, and at the same time we also smile as well. You understand? So when it comes to aggregating this, I believe Nigeria is not doing more when it comes to agriculture, and a lot of people are seeing farmers like a dirty person. Is a business you don't venture into. It's made for people that didn't finish school. It's majorly for people that are just, you understand. So for me, I would just say the government really has enough to a lot to do. It's not more about I don't when it comes to agriculture, I don't believe when we talk more, I believe doings, because I do speak with the likes of Aki Alabi, Soiles Farmer, a lot. But we know we just come, we talk. At the end of the day, we even bring some people on board who are into this government. At the end of the day, we talk. At the end of the day, nothing is done. So that is why you see most of the time I'm not always available for. In fact, the agriculture itself doesn't give me space to attend a lot of meetings until this December, because mostly you always meet me on field. I can count days I slept in my house, maybe in a month, maybe 2 weeks or 1 week. So a lot really has to be done. We have seen that the likes of maize is going up. In my own side there, in Ekiti, I reside in Ekiti State. Maize is still like 400. That's what we sell. But it takes a lot of time for us to aggregate. Before you pick 50 bags from Mr. Lagbaja, you have to fund it. Pick 10, 20 bags from Mr. Lagbaja, you have to fund it. So that is how I do my business. So I I I I really appreciate what you everything you've said today. You really nailed it, but at the same time, the major problem you are still having in Nigeria is the government is not ready to do anything. Then the Bank of Agriculture is not even. I don't believe Bank of Agriculture even exists in Nigeria. That one is a story for another
They
day.
do. They do. You can
They do.
actually.
Yeah, they do, but for me, they are not existing. You don't see them as existing because you mentioned
They are,
that they
they
are
are,
still in a analog manual, so they are not existing to
they
me.
are,
They are not.
they are collecting
They,
salaries now. They have workers. They
so they
pay
are
their workers
they are
cash.
not existing. They are not existing to me because I was at the one in that marina. It took me like 2 to 3 years before I can even able to see the green light. By the end of the day, story upon stories, they were like, no, you have to see your turnover, stuff like that. But thank God for today, we are there. We are there. Like I said, I'll be 10 years next year. when it comes to agro commodity sector. So that's just it. Like you said, funding is the problem you're having in agriculture. Then number two, insecurity. Then when it comes to mechanization, I believe there are some farmers when you buy them tractor, they can't make use of it. They can't. They can't make use of this tractor. I believe if there is a simple way we can bring these farmers together and see what they can use in plowing, rigging, I think that would be better. That would be better. But those when you buy them a tractor, when they don't even know where the plug is, whether it is plug that is doing the tractor, they don't even know how to fix the plug. Is that those people you want to give a tractor to?
mm.
And without this
You
tractor, I
know,
can guarantee you there are some farmers that I can get at least 10 tons from without not using tractor manually.
mm. But of course, they could
Manually.
have done better. But of course, you see, when I say mechanization does not really means when you have big tractors. What as an agricultural engineer, what mechanization means to us is making agriculture simple. There are simple tools that you can actually use um, to mechanize agriculture. You know, there is this small tractor that you can even pull that can actually plow for you, can do harrowing, and can do a lot of turning of the head. There are smaller machines that but even at that, for instance, somebody you said is doing 10 tons. If you give him a tractor, I'm very sure he's going to do better. It doesn't really mean that the farmers must have the tractors. They don't need to have the machines, but they must have access to the machines. There should be in every local government, a mechanization unit where, as a farmer, you can walk into the place, tell them what you need, the acreage you want to farm, then they bring in the machines, they do it for you. They can take their money up front from a facility that has been designed to help the farmer. As a farmer, you don't even need to spend the money. Just walk into the facility. I have 30 acres of land. I want to plow, I want to harrow, and I want to seed. I mean, I want to use your seedling machine to plant. That will not take more than 5 days. They dedicate the time for you. They do all of this job for you without even paying them any penny. But probably you have a pool of fund somewhere where they can actually access the fund, and once they finish the job, they pay them. So that is the model I'm talking about. So, and you also get your seedling from a seed company that give you the seed, then you also pay them. You also get your fertilizer, get your herbicide, get your pesticide. They feed them. Your own as a farmer is just to monitor and bring people to help you manage the farm. It's as simple as that. Then we should have an offtake system whereby there must be a guarantee market. One of the campaigning points of this present administration is that they want to do a market board. Up to this moment, nobody is talking about it anymore. Until when we have a market board where you can actually say, by this so time, this is how much I will be selling. You can predict your price. You can predict what you'll be selling. You can predict your income. You can predict your revenue. Those are what those are the policies the government should be making, not just
Uh,
sitting down and saying you just want to do dry season farming. You want to give
yeah,
2 trillion naira to some set of farmers in the
yeah,
north to farm wheat.
yeah.
They could chop am.
Exactly. Exactly. Like you have a valid point there. You have a valid point there. We're still the same. Still the same. A lot needs to be done. I think it starts from these our from schools again. Our schools doesn't teach agriculture. Primary school, secondary school. They make it looks like we farmers are the dirty people. Is not the occupation you should do, you should venture into. A lot needs to be done in Nigeria, starting from the scratch. A lot, a lot,
I
a
actually
lot,
disagree with you because
a lot.
a lot of schools are actually teaching agriculture. But you see,
Yeah,
the outlook
yeah,
is that
yeah,
farming is not becoming attractive. Let me tell you, if you are making your
Yeah.
millions, if you are building mansion as a farmer, I'm also building
Yes.
mansion as a farmer. Everybody's
Yeah.
building mansion as a farmer. Let me tell you,
Exactly.
okay, do you know why, as a young person, in before, in the last 12, I mean 20 years, in the last 20 years, if they ask somebody who is in his 40s now, if they ask you, what do you want to become in the future? There are three
He's a
things
doctor.
you want to become: a doctor, you want to become a lawyer,
Ex-
you also want to
exactly.
become whatever. But today, if you have your kid, what do you want to become? They might not even tell you they want to become a doctor anymore, because they don't see the
Exactly.
job as lucrative as. Because some kids, let me even bust your bubble. My first son,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
asked him, what do you want to become? I posted on Twitter. What do you want to become? He said he wants to become a musician,
Okay.
because it is those people that they are seeing that are building
Exactly.
business, they are building, riding big cars and stuff like.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
farmers are given that opportunity, if we have that outlook, but I mean, young secondary school students will be willing to feel Greek economics, Greek animal science. What
Yeah.
they will be willing to feel it in their form.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just it.
Um,
That's just it.
like I used to say when I wake up every morning, God bless Nigeria. God really blessed us. When I travel, because I travel mainly on land, because I love to see natures. God really blessed us. There are a lot of land
Of course.
that they are wasting. A lot, in fact, a lot of land that are wasting. But people don't want to venture into agriculture. They see it as a, and there's one thing about agriculture. If you don't have passion for it, if you are just want to venture into agriculture because of the investing margin, the money, maybe the FM you are hearing, or the profit margin you are hearing, you will surely go wrong. You will go wrong. So it's all about passion. If you don't have passion for it, because the work is tedious, really really tedious. So that's just one another thing I think people are not even looking into. If you don't have passion for it, you just leave agriculture. Just leave it. It's not for the faint-hearted at all. It's not for the
True.
faint-hearted. I had to stop work this December. I stopped work second week of December, not because of orders were not coming, not that I don't see orders for supply of maize, soybean, and hibiscus plant. But my wife is a diabetes patient, and we are always on the field 247. So she was sick. She was sick. I married my wife because I met her on the same field as I am. I met her doing cashew business. So starting on the long run, we started doing business together. You understand? So if you don't have passion for agriculture, please don't even try to venture in it. If you are investing into agriculture, bear it in mind. If the person is taking his losses as well, you should be able to take loss with that person, not just profit, profit, profit every time. Because a lot of people are just venturing in the better time. They don't want to look at the bad side of the business. Sometimes you might there is always a loss in the business, and some people are not even seeing it that way. I don't know whether you're trying to get what I'm trying to say.
We
Hello.
Ah,
understand.
of
Yeah.
We are
course, of
well with
course.
So, yeah. So the major thing is just have passion for agriculture. If you are not having passion for agriculture, somebody just comes to your table and brought a proposal, and okay, Boga, this is it. Oh, if you invest 5 million naira, you will see 10 million. Ask that person, what about the risk? Okay, when the risk come, are you ready to bear the risk together with the person? But a lot of people, they'll tell you that one is none of my business, so it's only the profit I'm after, which is not supposed. It's not always rosy all the time when you're on the field. I can't count the countless of time I go physical fighting people on the field just to make sure I deliver to my clients. I can't. Even my wife, a lot of times she got slapped on the field. So a lot of things we too as an aggregator we see on field. A lot, a lot, a lot. So the major thing is if you don't have passion for agriculture, don't venture into it. Don't let them come and sweet talk you. I'm a kind of person I don't like when it comes to business talking long. I always like doings. This is what I can do. This is what I can do. I can't do that. I can't do this. That's one thing about me. So like I said, passion. If you don't have passion for it, don't venture into it. Then secondly, the rise of a thing. We know the border town. You mentioned the border town. It's gonna help, and at the same time, it's not gonna help. It's gonna help in the aspect of most of the time where I aggregate my goods from, mostly are always from the border town, from Chikanda, Ilara, Imeko, Niger. Even Miss, so the person you were speaking with now mentioned most of the northerners grow more. I dispute. I don't know whether you see my thumbs down. The other time she told me most of the agricultural inputs come from the north. I dispute. Most of them comes from Benin Republic because they have access bringing goods from Benin Republic down to Niger Republic. I can remember when I'm in Benin Republic, I was at
I don't think
I
we can
think
hear you.
yeah, I think we lost him. I think we lost Mr. Brown.
Okay.
Okay.
I think okay. Okay. He was going to mention something about the produce from the north coming from Nigeria and all of that. Do you want to say something to that before we end this call? Because we are way
Yeah,
past
yeah,
our close time.
yes, time. Okay. I understand that. Okay. I think majorly we still have to give it um down to the northern part of the Nigeria of the country that most of our food are being produced there. We can't take it away. That's just the truth. We can't take it away. No matter what, we can't take it away. The population of Benin Republic is not um I don't think they are even half of what we are in Nigeria. So definitely they cannot produce what of course there's an influx of food item, food commodities from that side of the world, but not as high as he has portrayed. Most of the maize that are being produced that we're using are coming from the north. But another major maize producer is the Okeogun side of Oyo State, the Shaki, Ishenyi axis. They also produce a lot of maize. So we can't give it away. The northern part of of the country produces most of our foods. So that's just the truth.
Thank you so much, Mr. Salam. I think we have to close this meeting now because some people are messaging me that they have to go pray. But thank you so much for your contribution so far. It's been 1 hour, 30 minutes of just pouring into us, and there are lots of people that are going to come back to this recording in the future to watch it and listen to it, and they're going to gain a lot of knowledge from it. So thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank you
taking the
very much
time
for
out.
having me.
1 hour, 30 minutes of your time is no joke. I know you may have been in the field and you want to rest. So taking the time to do this is really, I will really appreciate it. I'm going to take you up on the open letter. You know, I mentioned it earlier. So I'm going to take you up on it. When I'm ready and the team is ready, we'll message you and see how we can make progress on
No
that.
problem.
But we
Thank you.
appreciate you. Appreciate taking the time to do this with us. We're grateful. Thank you so much. What are your plans for 2024? It's just a short sentence.
Ah, the plan
Ah,
is to go
okay.
expand the farm. We
Awesome.
want to do 20,000 layers, probably 5,000 breeders. That's just the plan for 2024. And we will surely do it. We will surely do
Yes.
it.
Yes. Well done. Well done.
By
We can
God's
see
grace.
the evidence. Well done. And we're rooting for you. So thank you so much, Mr. Salam. Our regards to your
Thank you.
family and your wife.
Thank you very much for having me.
God bless you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
everyone for joining the call. Thank you so much. Good night.